So, this is a conference that's been put on jointly by Princeton and Aalborg University in Denmark, and also by NIKSUN, the infrastructure security company here in Princeton. We're all partners in an institute called the Center for Tele-Infrastructure, which is a global organization that has outposts all over the world: Japan, India, Italy, of course in Denmark, and also in the Netherlands. We just established a new outpost of this center here in Princeton. It's called CTIF USA. It's a partnership among these three institutions. And this workshop today is really the first big public event of this center. So we're focusing on two things: security and mobility, which are of course two of the most important aspects of information technology, bringing it to the people. We need mobility. But since we use our information technology to do banking, for healthcare applications, and for other kinds of applications, we don't want to be exposed. We don't want our information to be exposed to the public, so we need security. So these two issues: mobility to bring utility to the information technology, and security to make it safe for us to use, are the focal points of this workshop. And you can see from the program we have a really terrific group of speakers from industry, from universities worldwide. We just had a talk by a gentleman from India. We have people from Japan here, and of course a number from the U.S. and other countries. So it's a great meeting of minds in these areas, and hopefully we'll have some very useful outcomes from the workshop. Well, mobility brings about its own security issues, because in more traditional network architectures where you have fixed infrastructure, security can be part of the physical aspects of the network. When you have mobility, you're using wireless technologies, which are by their very nature more difficult to secure. You also have the situation where when you're communicating, say from your cell phone, the people you're communicating with are changing over time. You go from one cell to another, say in a cellular system. You're communicating with different receivers each time you hand off. So mobility brings about a lot of special challenges for security. And of course, in the last 5 years, certainly in the last 10 years, the number of wireless devices has just exploded, and that means there are more and more partners for each potential partners for each communication session, meaning that there are just more terminals to secure, more issues, more opportunities for adversaries to eavesdrop on conversations and so forth. It's just the sheer scale and the mobility of communications today has really caused serious security challenges, and that's what a lot of the research today and a lot of the things that are being presented here at this workshop are addressing. Well, I think standards will emerge, because certainly in consumer communications or any kind of consumer electronics, for any developments to have major impact, they have to be standardized. And of course, security is just another such thing. We already have security standards for certain types of communications, and going forward, a lot of the things that we're talking about at this workshop may become part of standards in the future for mobile communications. Well, IEEE is the leading, electrotechnology organization in the world, and so, it's sponsorship of conferences, its promotion of journals and other publications, its standardization activities. These are at the center of what's happening in the wireless field. So IEEE is a major force in this kind of thing. What is it, 400,000 members, 190 countries. It's an enormous organization with a lot of influence. And so if IEEE gets behind something, particularly in a standard, it's going to take hold. And we see that we've seen that so many times with other technologies, and particularly in wireless technologies. I mean, IEEE has led the way in many standards. So I see it as having a major role. You know, government also has a major role. We have you know, the government through the National Science Foundation, other funding agencies, is funding research in these fields. It's a very hot research field in universities and in industrial research labs. Not only the U.S. government, but you know, the European Union is providing funding. I'm sure the same is true throughout the world. But certainly these governments are taking this extremely seriously because, as I mentioned, there's so many societal issues associated with telecommunications today, and I think it's extremely important to these societies that people feel safe in using those technologies.